All right, what's going on, everyone? And in this video, we're going to be detailing the push away and what you should and shouldn't be doing. Stay tuned. Okay, the push away. That is the section of the approach that is around that second step. And before I send it to Kyle, I just want to say that for a 5-step approach, in general, what most coaches would teach was you take that step, nothing moves, not the ball, and then when you take the second step for a 5-step approach or the first step for a 4-step approach, we want these things to be connected. We call it the push away. It's that foot. And then I used to be taught, like, imagine a string that's connected from your foot to your arm. These things move simultaneously. This is what we call the push away. Now, Kyle, what's one of the first rules that we know when we talk about the push away?
Yeah, first I want to talk about the word push away. Now, Coach Daniel was kind of explaining this to us, and he was kind of having a frustration moment. And if you guys don't know, he's our coach in our Brad and Kyle membership. And he was talking about, I don't know why we call it the push away. And I hate that it's called that. It's because we really don't want to push the ball away. Now, explaining this, when we talk about the push away, when you think push away, literally like we just said, you're thinking to push the ball away. In reality, what we want to happen is that, like Brad said, there's a string from our ball to our foot. They move together. We don't want that ball getting really separated from our body. We see a lot of people go 1, 2. See how the ball would be so much separated, the elbows disconnected from the body. Instead, we should be calling it like push, like rounded and down. Like, it's not really away. So instead of doing this, we want just this motion right here. We want to keep that elbow connected. We want that ball to stay close to our center mass. We've done the explanation a lot where if you get that ball and you try to hold it out here, it's super heavy. Get that ball and keep it here. You can keep your hand under it and more controlled. Yeah, I mean, just having a 15-pound ball, close to your body throughout the entire approach, this is a body thing. When it becomes too much of an arm thing, problems start to arise, and the push away is the first place that it starts for a lot of people. That's where a lot of problems arise, because it's either too away, or we'll talk in a minute about the direction of it, but that is the start of a lot of complications that we have as bowlers. Yeah, so step 1 with the push away, if you're watching, and you got to watch this from the side view really, so get a side view yourself or talk to someone, but we want to make sure that we're just basically dropping the ball to the swing. One way to realize this is imagine your elbow at the setup. Don't let that elbow get really disconnected from the body. Keep that elbow close to the body, and it's just almost a down motion, and the ball wants to be in the direction of the push away needs to be rounded, meaning that we don't want you to go boom, boom like this. It needs to be a rounded motion. Hopefully you can tell the difference. All right, so step 2 is more so of like a feel kind of thing, and this game is very hard. The oil's slick, it does crazy things. It's a puzzle in its own. So when we bowl and when we go throughout the games, ring and 10, sometimes we can get a little tight. Sometimes we don't like our ball motion that we're getting. Sometimes we just don't feel like we can carry. Sometimes we're shooting 120. Sometimes, whatever. And these things can cause you to feel tense, to feel different pressures, right? And that's what we don't want. It's important to keep the push away fairly relaxed. And Kyle has a really good story about this exact topic. Yeah, so keeping the push away relaxed, keeping that hand loose, and what we call not forcing and not placing the push away, meaning we don't want to feel like okay, I got to get the push away here. No, we just want to let it drop. Keep that hand loose, keep that arm loose, shoulder loose. My tendency, what we're about to explain, is I like to get tight, and especially as I get tired, longer into tournaments. The story is at the TOC, this last 2022 TOC, I was bowling phenomenal. At one point, leading it, qualifying, the whole deal. And then as match play goes, I got tired. Maybe I'm a little nervous, not as sharp. And I started really placing my push away, and I was tense here, and it just looked forced. And I had one of our ball reps come up to us, and we talked, and I was like, man, I was bowling so well. Now the ball's not going where I want it to. I can't get it off my hand the right way. Everything felt terrible. And a couple days before, I was one of the best bowlers in the building. What happened? And he goes to me, man, I don't know your game a whole lot, but I can tell right now that you are forcing that push away. You're placing it there. All he does is relax that hand and just let that ball drop into the swing. And I went from shooting 190s, 2-0s, and 2-team was a good game for me because I just couldn't get the carry, couldn't get the power. Now all of a sudden I was shooting 220s, 230s, 240s. And I didn't get close to winning the tournament or whatever, but I improved immediately right then and there.
And the thing that got you to the 220s and 230s wasn't a completely different bowler, a completely different mind. That's how much it impacted the ball motion that he was getting. Before, when you're tense, you know, it starts out tense, it kind of ends a little tense. There's a little bit too much speed, not enough ball roll. You're not getting the down lane reaction. You're not getting it consistently off your hand. You soften that up, and now all of a sudden, when the ball comes off your hand, it's just floating down there,
yes.
And all of a sudden now it just has all this back end reaction. And then now you get off hits. Now you don't feel like you have to be as perfect. Now the ball motion's correct, all because of not being so tense at the push away.
All right, so that's the first 2 tips for the push away. We don't want that ball to get super disconnected from our body. We want to keep that elbow nice and close, ball nice and close, and staying relaxed and loose on that push away. Now, Brad, what is the 3rd tip here?
Now, the 3rd tip is the direction, and we've made videos about this before. We've talked about the swing slot. We've talked about, this one's tricky because many different bowlers do many different things. We hang out with the highest of caliber bowlers, at least we try to as much as possible. And when you hang out with those guys, everybody's different. Everyone's creating their own, they've mastered this game so well that they've put their own little spin on it. For the normal, 170 to 220, 150 to 220, whatever, if you're not trying to be professional, you could probably live in camp with just straight placement, push away angles. You don't need to push away to the left. You don't need to push away to the right. We'll talk about those 2 things in a second, but for the most part, you can create any angle you want. You can throw any ball you want. You can play the slow wheel. You can play the hard and fast by just pushing it away in front of you.
Yeah, stock push away, what we teach everyone, the textbook, just push it right in front of you, right?
You got to be able to do that.
Under our head. That's where you need to live and breathe. That's where you're going to throw 90% of your shots. Now, what Brad is alluding to here is that when you get to the higher levels, people manipulate their push away to make the ball do different things. For instance, like guys will hold the ball a little further out to the right here and then make sure that swing kind of like stays straight and not looping to get the ball to go straight. I've heard people. And then you look at like a Norm Duke, he talks about he'll push to the left, create that little figure 8, and it'll help him get that ball to the right. That's something we see a lot. Now that is a higher level adjustment. If you don't have this push away sound and everything's not aligned and you're not repeating a lot of shots, we do not suggest trying to manipulate your push away to do different things. It's gonna be tough. But if you have it down and you're pushing that push away straight out in front of you, that's great. That's where you need to start. Then maybe once you're really, really comfortable and you're really seeing the results from that, maybe you can manipulate. But direction of the push away, we just want it right under our head, right out in front of us. We don't want it to the right. We don't want it to the left. We just want it right here.
All right, guys, so that's a little bit about the push away. We don't want to make sure we're getting it too far out in front of us, disconnecting the elbow and the ball to the body, and we want to make sure that as we bowl, we're focusing on keeping it loose, and then it always have a baseline ability to be able to push it out just right in front of you to keep everything straight.
And we have a really cool announcement for you guys. If you're looking for in-person coaching, we are running our first Brad and Kyle Clinic. It's going to be here in St. Charles at Plaza Lanes, January 15th. There'll be a link below where you can message us and we can get you all the details. It'll be myself, Coach Daniel will be filming it. Brad will be at the Utah Open Bowling. He'll be filming that, vlogging that, and getting ready for tour there. But we're having it here. We're really excited for it. And if you want any more information, just follow that link below, email us, and we'll get it to you.
All right, and thanks for watching that video. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe. Work on that push away, and we'll see you later.